Today on Sugar Spin Run, I'll be showing you how to make pumpkin whoopie pies. Hey Sugar Spin Bakers, Sam here, and as somebody who loves the complicated side of baking, I have dedicated myself to figuring out not only the best, but also the simplest way to make these recipes that might have intimidated you in the past. Today we are tackling a recipe that everybody should be baking this fall, pumpkin whoopie pies. To get started, you'll want to preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Now the first ingredient you're going to need for today's recipe is 3/4 cup of melted unsalted butter. Now before you go any further, you want to let this butter cool so it's no longer warm to the touch. Once your butter has had a little bit of time to cool, add 3/4 cup of firmly packed light brown sugar and 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, and we'll stir these ingredients together until they're well combined. While this recipe could be made with a stand mixer, because we're using melted butter, it's so easy to do it by hand instead. Once that's nicely combined, we'll be adding 1 cup of pumpkin puree. And make sure this is pumpkin puree you're using and not pumpkin pie filling. We'll add 2 large eggs, and ideally these should be at room temperature. And 1½ teaspoons of vanilla extract. And stir everything together really well. Now in a separate bowl, you'll want to measure out 1 2/3 cups of all-purpose flour. We'll add a teaspoon of baking powder, 3/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 3/4 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice, and I highly recommend you make your own using my easy recipe, and a ½ teaspoon of ground cinnamon. You want to make sure that your dry ingredients are really well combined before you add them to the rest of your batter. Now we'll add our dry ingredients into the bowl with our wet ingredients, and we're going to stir everything together, but you want to be careful that you do not overmix this batter. Just stir until everything is combined and the mixture is smooth. Drop your batter by rounded tablespoons onto a parchment paper lined baking sheet, spacing the cookies at least 2 inches apart. Now take these over to your 375 degree Fahrenheit oven, where they'll need to bake for about 9 minutes. Let your cookies cool completely before filling them with icing, but while they cool, we can go ahead and make our icing by combining 6 ounces of softened cream cheese, 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 3/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and just a pinch of salt, about 1/8 teaspoon, and just use an electric mixer to cream everything together until it's smooth and well combined. We'll gradually add about 3 cups of powdered sugar. I say about 3 cups because I usually measure out 3 cups and then I only add as much as I feel is needed for the icing. And usually that's about 2½ to 3. We'll just want to do a little bit at a time though, so we don't send powdered sugar flying all over our kitchen. Looks like we're going for the full 3 cups today. You could spread the icing on the cookies, but I like to make the job easy and just use a piping bag to pipe it. You'll want to pare off your completely cooled cookies. And as you can see, I like to fill mine pretty generously. And that is how you make pumpkin whoopie pies from scratch. This is the recipe you need to try this fall. I am so sure you are going to love it. Thank you guys so much for watching my recipe, and I'll see you next time. One of these days I need to make Zach taste test the pumpkin recipes because he likes them a lot more than I do. It was good.